All right, so the election is about cost of living issues, inflation. It's also about crime. It's also about other things. Democrats are on the short end of the stick. Joining me now, Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump and a Fox News contributor and author of the excellent book, by the way, Here's the Deal. I want to push the book. I read the book. One click on Amazon. Thank you, Kellyanne. So I want just for a moment. So Biden launches this new anti-oil company. Now we're going to have a windfall profits tax, which is not a new idea. It is a stupid idea. Bernie Sanders wants 95% tax. I'm just thinking, you're the Politico, but I'm just thinking when Biden does this, it highlights his failures.
That's right,
on gasoline and energy. Yeah.
On everything. It's actually mysterious to me why they would do this now. I think there's no one in the White House who really tells Biden what's truly going on. I don't mean that in a mental acuity way. I mean that, as you know, when you work for a president, you have to deliver hard news sometimes deferentially and respectfully and privately. Mm-hmm. But it's not clear to me that anybody tells him that's not a good idea, you're not the right messenger for that, this is the wrong message, wrong policy. And I think it's endemic of a problem the Democratic Party has right now, Larry. They recruited a whole bunch of left-of-center candidates this time, particularly for the U.S. Senate. John Fetterman, Mandela Barnes, some others. And their policies are so left of center. Don't forget, I think we don't talk enough about one of the worst moments in Joe Biden's presidency happened early. He gave an interview, maybe in March of 2021. He wants to be the next FDR. And boy, did he follow that with all these terrible left of center policies, spending now excess profit tax, et cetera. People are not for that. They're wondering, where's the help for me? And they don't draw this nexus between taxing corporations that they rely upon for goods and services with helping what's going on over the cappuccino counters and around the kitchen tables. Wrong messenger, bad messages, terrible policies. And it really is all adding up to a pretty good Republican year at the ballot box.
You know, it's so interesting. On your point, what kind of advice is he getting internally? That's a good point. So I was thinking about this. So on a matter of, so Biden, one of his beefs is that world oil prices have come down, which they have.
Yes.
But gasoline prices have not come down sufficiently, so therefore he blames the oil companies. So the president would presumably call his NEC director, who has energy specialists, and they come up with some quick numbers. The whole thing should be done in 10 or 12 minutes, actually. At least that's how we did it. So we went back and looked at the numbers. Mm-hmm. World oil prices have come down about 25%. Gasoline prices at the pump have come down about 25%. Almost exactly the same.
Right.
So somebody needs to tell him that.
Yes.
On what basis are you now launching this latest attack? But then the other side of the problem is, from his inauguration, both world oil prices and gasoline prices are up 55 to 65%. It's like
right.
lose-lose. The arithmetic is wrong and the story is wrong. Why don't they get that?
They don't get it for a couple of reasons. One is he always tries to blame someone else. It was Trump for a while. Then when it came to oil prices and energy costs, it was Putin, it's the oil companies themselves. And yet if you look at the polls, Americans blame Biden. It's very clear they blame him. They draw a direct line between his action and inaction and how much they're suffering economically, the economic squeeze. And also this angst over random crime and its effects on your pocketbook issues. You know, if you've got crime in a city, a suburb, a rural area, Larry, it affects your quality of life. It affects your behavior as a consumer. Are you going to go out to eat? Do you feel safe having your kids walk around the neighborhood or somewhere else on Halloween? Will you take public transportation? Are you risking your life to commute to work, and so on and so forth? And we know the effect it has on the small businesses, the mom and pops, and the moms and dads in town. And we know it also can have all these hidden costs for a community when it comes to enhanced security, better lighting, all of that. And I think the nexus between crime and the economy, maybe we haven't talked enough about. This is 1994 all over again. When I was a baby pollster working on the Contract with America with Newt Gingrich and others, crime and the economy are the top two issues. New York Times, ABC, our own polling all says the same thing. Crime and the economy are the top issues. But you have a president who doesn't even admit that. And to the extent they admit that, he doesn't really have solutions for it. So I'm not surprised on energy. It's the same story. And I know many people aren't going to appreciate this, especially folks on my side of the aisle, but I don't think senators make very good presidents. I think they're used to just kicking it down the road, have a commission, we'll study it, we'll worry about it next Congress. Oh, I'm up for re-election now, I can't. Oh, this interest group won't let me. And they have these huge staffs to which they delegate all of these major responsibilities. Then they have committee staffs. So if you're Joe Biden, you were in the Senate all those years. I think Senator Biden ideologically is in conflict with President Biden. But I believe that the way he's operated all these years does not work well for him in this particular White House. It's a separate issue, what we see, the lack of mental and physical acuity. I got that. But politics is the art of telling people what they can't see. And they should realize he's not destined to be a good leader. He doesn't have the skills, and he's not destined to be a good manager. And Larry, that's part of why nobody wants him on the trail. They just don't want him.
Nobody wants him.
This is not Biden hiding. This is them telling him you're unpopular and therefore you're unwelcome.
Can I come back to this? High crime, okay, high crime is a tax hike on the whole economy.
Yes, it is.
High crime is a bad economy. And inflation, high inflation is a bad economy. But you're saying high crime and the economy is a sleeper issue. People put the two together, even if the politicians don't.
They do. They put the two together, and people feel very vulnerable right now. They feel threatened because it's just so random and capricious. And also, it's not just a tax on everyone. It really hurts lower income folks who have to commute through public transportation, who have to walk different places, perhaps, who live in some of the cities where this is happening. And to have Kathy Hochul, the current governor of New York, pretend it's not important to her because she's asking Lee Zeldin why it's important to him. We released a poll today that we did for Dave Bossy's Citizens United. We have a 1-point race there. We have Hochul 46, Lee Zeldin 45. That's before he brings in all this extra star power. He's been endorsed by Trump for a long time, and now he has DeSantis and Youngkin coming in, who are able to come in and say, we're the party for lower crime. Hochul's the party for cashless bail and for, for releasing up to a third of criminals, as John Fetterman has wanted to do. And I think Kathy Hochul should be made to own and eat the vulnerabilities and how unsafe everybody feels here. And Alvin Bragg is the DA, Tish James is the AG, even Eric Adams. We had a lot of high hopes for him as a former police officer, and crime is on the increase.
You know, it's a great point. I know the cost of living, inflation is the number one issue. Crime, I hate to call it a sleeper issue, but I will call crime and the bad economy as a sleeper issue.
Well, it is. It's a quality of
that.
life. It's cost of living, but it's also quality of life. And they're both being imperiled right now. This election is all about rising costs and rising crime, with a little bit of abortion education put in there, too. But it's not January 6th, and it's not Trump, Trump, Trump. To the extent it's Trump, it's that a lot of his endorsed candidates are winning.
MAGA. Kellyanne Conway, the best in the business.